Hello there. It's jolly good to see you. Have you been having your own exciting adventures? We would love to hear about them, and we are very happy to welcome you back to the magical forest, where seasons change and green leaves become golden, and rivers feed into enormous waterfalls. Our forest will wrap itself in a blanket of snow, and we sink up to our knees as we try to get through. But the magical forest is also home to much, much more. From frogs to forest dragons, elven queens to fairy kings, from tents to towers and castles, to our magical cottage in the magical forest. Where will our stories take us tonight? Well, tonight, our story begins with a magical castle in the clouds. But not any old sky castle, no. This is Rrithon, the castle of the giants. More specifically, this castle belongs to King Velta the Bold, the very same king who united the kingdoms of the giants who beckoned from the clouds and the tiny fairies who hail from the magical forest. King Velta and his wife Queen Parza the Wise have a daughter, Rarone. On this day, young Rarone is deemed to earn her permanent wings and title. You see, while she is the daughter of the king and queen, she will only become princess when she performs a good deed for the people of their kingdom. In order to find the right deed to perform, Rarone must read from the Pamphlet of Destiny, a sacred book which is very, very old. As a determined young fairy, Rarone sets to work and begins reading the pamphlet. She sees lots of fascinating things and learns even more. She learns that there are all sorts of creatures in the magical forest. One of those is described as a hairy ball of playfulness and dribble. This is known locally as a dog. Right at that moment, she sees what destiny has in store for her. The magics of the magical forest need to be refreshed every century or so, and very soon that magic was going to weaken. But the Pamphlet of Destiny reveals the answer to Rarone and sets out her task. She must address the fairy village of Faery to tell them about her task. She must then retrieve the Aquarian stone from the sacred pool and reunite it with the staff of Gaia. Having learned all she could from the Pamphlet of Destiny, she bids farewell to her father the king and takes her favorite dragon Malcolm down to the magical forest. She saddles him up and they dash towards the gates of the kingdom. Stood at the edge of the clouds, both Rarone and Malcolm gaze in awe at the beauty of the sky. And then Rarone shouts, "Ranga Ruby!" and Malcolm pushes off, and our duo plummet through the clouds until they see blue sky again. From here, Rarone directs Malcolm towards the ancient village Faery. They arrive at the village a short while later. Faery is a market village where lots of travelers come to buy food and clothes. Some will even come to stay in a hotel or to refresh their magic. Rarone announces to the people of the village that there will be a meeting in the village hall. There is an excitement among the villagers. It has been a long time since they saw her last. That evening, the villagers pack into the large village hall where Rarone addresses them. She tells the people that the magic is soon to run weak, as it hasn't been refreshed for a long time. But they should not fear, as she, Rarone, daughter of King Velta and Queen Parza, will restore the magic before it is too late. Her audience cheers, and Rarone begins her quest into the magical forest. Rarone climbs up through the kingdom tree and emerges in the quietest part of the forest. The wind gently brushes through her hair, and Rarone remembers what it was like to play here as a child. But as much as she would love to reminisce, she had to find the Aquarian stone. Her first instruction was to find Zogra, the guardian of the kingdom tree. Rarone had known Zogra ever since she was a pixie. They used to play together and have super fun making portals while playing hide and seek. For some strange reason, Rarone remembers how she always used to win, even when she thought Zogra had. Rarone heard a familiar chippity-chapper above her head, high up in the trees. She looked up, and there was Zogra. She summoned her wings and flew up to meet him. He hadn't changed at all. He was still so young and vibrant. They had much to catch up on, but not enough time spare to do it. Zogra told Rarone that Kevin, the Plum Tree King, knew where she had to look next. With a quick hug, Rarone left Zogra to his duties and headed deeper into the forest. Rarone flew as fast as she could to meet Kevin, the Plum Tree King. Kevin was pleased to see her. She had been missed by all of the plum trees, and he was only happy to help. Kevin could feel a change in the magics, and Rarone was the best hope of restoring it. And so, he told her where she could find the sacred pool. With a great wish of love for all of her plum friends, Rarone dashed off to find the sacred pool. The water in the pool looked like ordinary water. It was wet like ordinary water. It tasted like ordinary water, but it was different. When Rarone leaned on the water, her hand did get wet, but she didn't fall in. The magic there was keeping her out, and that is how she knew she was in the right place. The Aquarian stone was nearby. Rarone summoned the pamphlet and recited the magical incantation she'd read back in her father's castle. Ralea fe aqua, terra, tun, greda, Aquarian stone risa. The water began to bubble, as if it were boiling, but it wasn't. It was cold. In the middle of the pool, a glowing blue crystal emerged. It was the Aquarian stone. The water's resistance faded, and Rarone was able to walk through the water to collect the stone. She picked it up, and she could feel all of the goodness within the stone. Upon collecting the Aquarian stone from the sacred pool, the staff of Gaia emerged from the pamphlet of destiny. Rarone fed the blue stone into the open hilt, and the staff closed around it. The staff of Gaia grew until it was the same size as Rarone. Without being summoned, her wings formed, but now they felt different. They felt new. Rarone thrust the staff of Gaia into the sky above her, and a flash of silent light covered the entire magical forest. The balance was restored. Faery and all of the fairy villages. Chrithan and all of the sky castles were all renewed. Magic had repaired and rejuvenated all it touched. Rarone had completed her quest and could now accept the title of princess. But Rarone did not accept it. She knew that the king and queen would rule for quite some time, and she could become a princess whenever she chose, but the forest couldn't wait. She had decided that she had been away from the forest for too long, and so she created a little house for herself in Faery. She would spend the next Sumanti years helping wherever she could around all of the forest's villages. The new magic brought new light to Faery, a warm, soft glow in which Rarone would gently drift off to sleep, and so should we. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We hope you enjoyed our story. We'll see you next time in the magical forest. Good night.